Hello there, and welcome to my little arty corner on YouTube. My name's Angela Porter, and I love to draw. I'm an artist, illustrator perhaps, and I am best known for my adult colouring books, the Colour Me Calm series with Lacey Mucklow, but also lots of books in the Creative Haven series from Dover and many other publishers. But my other love is to try to build confidence in other people and inspire and help you to take steps on your drawing or your arty or creative journey, whatever that may be. And if I can help just one person do this, I think I've done a good enough job. But I'm not going to stop, so there we are. So before any further ado, just thank you for all you who've subscribed, new and old. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for the likes of the videos and also for the lovely comments that so many of you leave. And if you've shared the video with others who you know would like it, thank you so much. Any video of mine, thank you. So with no further ado, let's get into today's arty practice, and it is an arty practice today. I woke up a bit earlier than I wanted to, and I wasn't ready to go back to sleep, so I spent some time drawing leaves, just a little bit of time. So I've got this page, I've got this page, I have this page, and this page, and this page, and this page, where I've got some of my favourite ones. I've got leaves that look like butterflies or dragonflies now. Hurrah! But leaf shapes of sorts. And I just sort of like went with my instincts or my intuition or my just what I wanted to do, I guess. And so the other thing that I did was I dug out Inktense pencils, but also Derwent Colour Soft. So the ones that look a bit washed out, you can see over here, it looks, move over a bit. These colours look a little bit more washed out than these. These were Inktense, and these were Inktense with coloured pencils over the top to intensify the colour. Others are just plain coloured pencil, like this one and this one. Now I was doing this sat in bed with a good enough light on, but not the best, and eyes that didn't want to fully work. So forgive me if things look a bit strange or the colours look a bit odd. But I thought I'd just do some things like that. And I thought, what a wonderful way to practice both drawing and use of colour. Because I am treating my sketchbook as my whimsical world. This is where I can draw anything I want, without any judgment from me or anybody else, where I can explore things. And if I want pink leaves, I can have pink leaves. If I want, I don't know, purple skies, I can have a purple sky or whatever. It's my sketchbook. And to try things out on, to try different media out on. Not always on this paper, because as you know, this is the Hahnemuhle D&S sketchbook, which is Design and Sketch, which is meant for pencils and dry media. Pens seem to work fine, but it's not meant for anything wet. It's the nature of the paper, and I chose it deliberately for that. But you can get away, like you can with just about every paper, a little bit of water, just a little bit. Any more and it starts to pill the paper and wreck the surface on papers like this. Beautiful for drawing on though. It's got a fair amount of tooth, so things like coloured pencils grab well onto it quite quickly, so you don't have to work hard with them, which makes my arthritic-y fingers very happy. I'm not bothered by arthritis much. My knees would argue with me on that one, and occasionally my hips. But anything that involves something heavy in my fingers, a heavy pen, or having to work hard with coloured pencils, then it can gives the joints a bit of grief. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'm going to move this out the way because I have chosen, or I have picked up, some pieces of A5 Enhance and Imagine. I'm going to pop one out the way because I'll end up scooching things around. I've got one pen and one pencil to draw with. Yep. And the pen I've got a brush sign pen, the pigment version. This is from Pentel, but any pen you like will work. I'm particularly enjoying the bold lines of this in my work at the moment, and I feel a lot happier with them than I do finer lines, which is intriguing me because I've always gone towards the finer lines, perhaps because I get more detail in. And I've just got a pencil. This one's got I think it's got 2B leads in, but they're new ones. They're new to me. They're from uni and they're smudge proof, which is interesting. We shall see how they work. So I'm going to fill this page with leaf patterns, and you can draw along with me. And I'm going to try to pick out some leaves or versions that are perhaps a bit more complicated and different shapes than perhaps you're used to, or some familiar shapes. We'll see. Whatever grabs my attention, whatever I feel like drawing, it's going to go. So I think the first one I'm going to draw, so I'm going to start with the stem. I'm flaring the stem out a little bit, and I'm just going to bring the leaf back in like this. It's not perfect, it's not symmetrical, and it doesn't need to be, but I'm going to pop just a few dividing lines in. Nothing more complex than that for the first one, but by putting these sections in, it gives us opportunities to play with colour as much as we want. So that's not a usual kind of leaf perhaps you would draw. Another favourite one of mine that comes up sometimes in my work. There's just something lovely about this shape, which is that's quite an extended one. There's just that little dip in there. I don't know what it is about that shape that I really like. And with this one, I think on one side I'm going to put some veins going in. I really want to try to keep the lines similar there. And on this one, I think on one side I'm going to fill it with ovals. So the side that has the most detail in it is the side that's going to be darker, I guess, and so on. And no, I'm not making them all in the same direction. It's just a page full of leaves and ideas. Because that's what I like to do. So I've got one like this, but I'm going to pop a little something in there as if there is a mark in the middle. That's fun. Okay. Here's another one. So I've got a rounded bump on the top of this oval shape and a little, pointy downy V shape there where the stem is going to connect. And I think this one, I'm going to pop a shape in the middle. I guess this could be viewed as a seed pod if you wish, but I genuinely have leaves in mind here. So there's another one. Oh, let's do a nice big traditional kind of leaf shape, but what I'm going to do here is something a bit different to add interest to that space. So I've just popped a single spiral in, so I've curved it out this way and round, and the end of this I've made it kind of teardrop shaped, but I've not finished there because I'm going to pop another spiral in over here. Actually, I like that. I was thinking about putting one in here, but sometimes it feels awkward to go around that way. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to leave it exactly like that. But here where the centre vein and the stem meets the edge of the leaf, I've created something that looks like a little bit like a diamond with curved in edges just to connect them there. Okay. So there's a kind of weird oblong shaped leaf, and I'm going to fill this with diamond shapes like so. And if they're a bit wonky, that's fine. I'm happy with wonky. Wonky is good. And let's have another one of those kinds of shapes, I think. Because I'm going to fill these in with these these arch shapes like so. And I'm going to leave them exactly like that. I'm not going to, well, you could, I'll do it on one side where we could aura them so they're a bit like a Zentangle pattern. The other side I'm just going to leave them blank. No, I actually quite like that. I was going to leave them blank. But I've drawn this big enough that I feel comfortable adding those in. So if we can do that this way, how about if we do that kind of pattern? But instead of having the curves pointing inward, how about if we have them pointing outwards? So they touch the outside edge of the leaf. Like so. And again, I'm going to pop these in, but here they're going to make a nice little oval shape. So that's quite cute, like that. And I'm just going to thicken some of my stems at the end here. I create them sort of like start thin and they get thicker, and I have this slanted edge on them often. It just makes them look a bit more like they've been attached to a stem. It's just the way that I do things. So we've got these. So how about some other shapes? Flat on the bottom, curving out at the top. And once you've got that kind of shape, you can actually curve those corners a bit. So that's a bit fun. So we can have a single line. We could have 2 lines, or we could have bands across them, because why not? These are leaves in my world. Said, this is my world. This is how I like to draw things and how I like to see things. And I think that's fine. You just go with what you want. And I hope you'll, even if you draw along with me, these examples, I hope you'll leave some of the shapes blank or redraw some of these shapes so that you can change what's inside them. Now here, I'm basically drawing this, but without the outside lines. So I'm drawing these ovals as if we've got leaves on either side that join, but I'm going to change how I add a pattern inside them. So for these, I'm going to add circles, and perhaps I'll put like the veins that you find in the middle of the leaves this way. And here I didn't think about adding the circles till too late, so I'll just pop one right at the top. So that's a bit fun. Okay, I'm going to turn the page in my sketchbook. I've only got a tiny number here of the leaves on my first 2 pages, and some of these aren't actually on the page, so this will be getting stuck into my sketchbook. Okay, so here I'm going to draw these in like so. You could just do half this way. And then it almost looks like there's something tucked under, especially if you colour it in black. And these you could do alternate black, white, and so on, but I thought I said I was going to use this for colouring practice, kind of. Thinking about simple-ish leaves that we can use. So let me turn over. Apart from, I need to get a ginkgo leaf in. I do. like so will do nicely. Perhaps just another one there. I could have drawn that line completely straight, but if I bend it over at the top, it suggests this whole section of leaf is bending over rather than being flat. So the movements of line actually really do help with the how the leaves appear on paper. So these are very straight, but if I draw a similar leaf here, like so, and instead of drawing them dead straight like that, I curve them up a little bit, suddenly there's a bit more dimension to this leaf. And I'll put them on the other side as well. And suddenly it feels that the vein here in the centre is lower down than this area, which feels higher up, and the edges feel lower down as well. So just by using different shapes of line. Okie dokes. Alright, so I find it that if I want to draw a 3-lobed leaf like an ivy leaf, if I put the veins in first, it gives me a guide as to where I want to draw the rest of the leaves in. If I try to draw it freehand, I can get a bit lost and end up with things perhaps not as they ought to be. And for this, I'm going to add, that looks a bit awkward until I do that perhaps, and then it feels a little less awkward now. Still looks a bit awkward, but sketchbook, it doesn't matter if it's in your sketchbook. Okay, well, what about going to take a stem again, and then I'm going to draw a line that's a series of arches. But we go down, you come up part way along the line, and then you go down with a longer stroke on the leaf. So I'll do that again. So up a little bit, down, up the line, curve, down a bit, long a bit, and so on. It's easier if when you see it rather than me trying to explain it. So that looks great on its own, but for fun, for colouring practice, or just drawing practice, let's join these lines to the centre. If they don't match up with their partner on the other side, because I don't even know if I've got the same number of humps and bumps, it doesn't matter. We've got that nice kind of feathery kind of leaf there. Okie dokes. Let's have a look at this kind of shape. For this one, I am going to use a Zentangle pattern to fill this in. I'm going to use Betweed, because Betweed should fill this in quite nicely and give an interesting texture. And yeah, you can use Zentangle patterns to fill leaf shapes in, why not? My whole idea here isn't to practice Zentangle patterns really, but is to create patterns within leaves that we can then use to add colour to, try different media out on. Okay, so let me do that, and then I'm going to add lines like this, and let's do a zigzag pattern like this that stacks one on top of the other. Straight lines that give that feeling of dimension. Add shadows and highlights, highlights, and we get something completely different. Again, I went oops Yeah, made a bit of a mistake there, but it's fine because it will disappear into the leaf. So it already looks like this is dipped down, this is a ridge, and this is dipping down again. But as soon as you start adding shadow to it, it'll, or, you know, colours and so on, it will look even more spectacular, I guess, in its way. Okay, we haven't got any heart-shaped leaves here yet, but who says we can't have? There are such things as heart-shaped leaves. So I'm going to keep these pretty simple, so I'm going to fill this one with circles. Now I'm drawing these in pen, but there is nothing to say that we couldn't draw the outline of a leaf shape, fill it with colour, and then use something like a metallic pen to add these details, or metallic paints, or whatever else. I am really treating this almost like a colouring page, I suppose. I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to give this a frilly edge. Let's go totally whimsical with this one. To a degree, I'm not going to add too much in the way of detail, because that's not the name of the game here today. It's just filling a page with patterns, with motifs that we can then use to add colour. Okay, I'm just having a quick look here. What else could we do? Different kind of shape, leaf. There's one that's quite bulbous like this. And for this one, I'm actually going to draw a smaller version of it in there and connect it like that, as if we've got two little leaves stacked one on top of the other, which is quite cute. This one will take a little bit of thought, which is where you might want to use a pencil to draw in the shape of the leaf you want, because we're going to put little notches in. You know, as if it's half of a tropical leaf, I suppose, because you get these kinds of things in tropical leaves quite a lot, these notches. And I am going to pop some of these smaller veins like that in. And I also feel that this needs that as a stem. I'm not going to do any sort of like stems of leaves and so on. I'll keep that for another time perhaps. But let me have a look here at my last pair. I think they're my last pair of pages. I don't think I went on to another page after those, did I? Can't remember, because I'm sure there'll be more. Let's have a look at the butterfly leaves, because now I've told you there are butterfly leaves. People will be wanting to create butterfly leaves, so start with 2 leaves. They don't have to be identical, and smaller ones coming off, and there's the stem. And if we wanted to make it not a butterfly leaf, just put these loops in like so, an extra one at the top. But it struck me as I was drawing this, if I left that out, it'd be like a butterfly. If we can have a well, that's more like a dragonfly. But if we want a butterfly, there. And the other thing is, I do like these leaves that are just in pairs as well. They're like the seed leaves of dicotyledons. Dicotyledons are plants that have 2 seed leaves. Monocotyledons are ones that have 1 seed leaf when they start to sprout. Yeah, scientist. What can I say? Do you think we've got enough to be going on with? I think we probably have. Now then, I am not going to brave watercolour. Not today. You could do if it's your fancy, but I'm going to brave something that causes me even more problems, or can do. I can't use alcohol markers because I've chosen the Imagine paper. It just soaks it up and spreads it everywhere. But I'm going to go and get my Colour Soft, so I'll be back in a moment. Okie dokie, so here I am back, and I've got my pot of Colour Soft pencils to one side of me. I'm just going to pick out a couple of greeny colours here that I want to use. Pea green's a funny colour. Why are greens called pea green when they look nothing like peas? I don't know. It's just me thinking out loud there, being a bit of an idiot about it. Do I want a dark green, or shall we go with a mid green? Let's go with the dark green. So I've just picked out a dark green, a green, a light green and acid yellow for my first leaf. So I'm going to go with traditional leaf colours here, but I'm going to start dark and work light, which I think might be counter to the usual wisdom, I don't know. This paper's not too bad at grabbing hold of coloured pencils, I do have to say that. It's not too bad, not too shabby. So how are you all doing? I hope you're all fine and well. I just think this is, you know, it's a lovely sunny day here in South Wales. Cold. It was below zero when I got up at 9 o'clock still. Or perhaps it climbed just above zero by then. We've had beautiful warm sunny days, sort of like relatively mild nights for a little while, and suddenly the world goes mad again, the weather. Although I do like the cooler nights, I do sleep better when it's cold. So, and today just feels like I'm going to make an awful noise because my pencils need sharpening. Well, some of them do. So it's lovely out. It's really sunny, but I've had to put the heating on because it's that chilly in the house, and for me to feel the cold, given my time of life. Sorry if there's any gents listening, but you know, back to life for women. We shouldn't be ashamed to talk about it. Yeah. I'm approaching menopause, I'm getting hot flushes, and I seem to spend an awful lot of my life complaining that I'm too hot, or reaching for a fan, a hand fan, especially in the evenings. So I find it quite lovely in some ways to be a bit cold, but this morning, you know, it's the contrast is that it was just that bit too cold for me. Who knows? So I've got a lovely mix there now then. Lovely mix of colours, but to help them blend just that bit more, I've got many in here, but it's the only one oh no, there's another one I can see there. Come on, you come on out, you. And I know there's another one in here somewhere. The brand. I'm sure there is. That's not one. There it is. I've got some blending pencils here. I've got burnishers somewhere. Burnishers are a bit different. They put a shine on the top and it helps to bring the colours out. And blending pencils will help to blend the one colour into another. This is a Caran d'Ache and it melts. I left it in my window and it melted a bit. It's called a full blender, and these are really nice, and it does keep the colours nice and bright. There's a Prismacolor one I've got, and I've got a Derwent blender. There are other brands. I find them all fine, you know. You can use colourless or odourless blending solution as well with a paper stump or something like that. I know there are people who use things like baby oil or Vaseline to do this. I'm not quite sure whether that's something I would recommend, but I don't know. Perhaps if I zoom in, this is the section I've just blended very quickly with this. It doesn't take much effort. You don't need to work at it and rub hard. Well, not with a Caran d'Ache one anyway. But you can blend the colours more smoothly one into another, and that suits me It's not going to be perfect, and I'm no expert at this. I haven't got the patience with colour to keep working back and forth and putting light layers down and then another layer. But this just helps get that feeling that the colours are blended. And again, this is a sketchbook page, so it's not perfect. And I think I've said before, I've got an infinite amount of patience, well, more patience when it comes to working digitally than I have working with traditional media. Because I find with traditional media, I put a lot of effort in and I'm never happy with my end results. But that blends the colours out just nicely enough. I'm going to do a completely different colour scheme here. This one, I'm going to start with a purple. This one is bright purple. And I'm trying to make it darker at the top and fade out somewhat. Now, if I wanted to spend the time, I could actually get a gradient of this colour to fill the whole of this space, so it gradually fades away to not very much, but I don't think that'll be very interesting. Okay, I want a red. Blackberry's a bit too purple. It annoys me when I get very easily annoyed, don't I? You know this with things. I've got a deep red here, so deep red, fuchsia first. I've got a fuchsia here, so I'm going to add some fuchsia, and I'm going to blend it over that deep purple, not all the way up, just a bit, so we get a fairly even coverage of the colour pencil there. Then I'm going to add some red, trying to use a light touch as I blend over the fuchsia, and I'm going to blend this out so it's fairly subtle here. And then I want an orange. I've got an orange here. This is bright orange. There's a burnt orange in here as well now. That might have worked a little bit better, but this will be fine. So I'm blending from purple to orange, using red as a kind of midpoint, which essentially it is on the colour wheel. So I'm just using my colourless blender here, both to blend out the colour so it fills in the little nooks and crannies in the paper. I'm not pressing hard, I'm just relying on the friction to melt a tiny bit of the blending pencil off, and to melt some of the coloured pencil underneath with it so that we've got that to spread in. Magic. A lot of fussing. This is just too much fussing around for me most of the time, but today just seems like that kind of day where it would be a good idea to do. So on the other side, I'm going to use, this is cadmium yellow, so I'm going to put some cadmium yellow around the edge. Again, trying to keep my touch quite light and building the layers up, not very well. Beginning to get fed up. I much prefer to wield pen and draw. It takes a lot less time, possibly. Having said that, I will fuss around a lot more when it comes to digital stuff than I do here. So here I've added the orange, and I'm going to go back and add some more yellow over the top of this because I've got a bit too much orange there and not enough of the yellow. And I could have done that back here. I could have added more purple at the end or used a darker purple. And at the bottom I'm going to go with, bright red. Let's see, I've just picked up blood orange. Let's go with red. Just red. It doesn't say red on the pencil, it just says red. So a red rather than a dark red. But the colours are, you know, they're analogous colours. Analogous colours are next to each other on the colour wheel. So I have got this sort of like blend of colours that are analogous. But this side that I've just done is a little bit different to the other side. Oh, I had a bit of green on the tip of my blender. It's fine. Or there may have been a tiny bit of green pencil on the tip of the yellow one. Don't know. It is what it is. Nobody will notice, really. Just quite easily, with just a few strokes, this just sort of like helps to blend those edges together and create a smoother, more even colour. It also adds a bit of a shine, which helps to bring out the colours. So, alright, let's go a bit weird and wacky. Where's the blue I'm looking for? On this one, I'm going to have blue leaves, I think. This is electric blue, so it's quite a, it's not bright blue, but it's a vibrant blue is what I want to say, and I'm rather fond of electric blue. So I'm just going to add that, and I'm going to go for a darker blue if I can find what I'm looking for. Ultramarine will do for a start. It's not the brightest ultramarine, because I often think of ultramarine as quite a rich blue, but I want a blue that is darker. Oh, I've got sea green there. There's a lovely colour. I'm looking for indigo go. It doesn't say indigo go, by the way, it says indigo on there. But Prussian blue will do. That purple would have done nicely there, actually. And then I'll just blend these together. I've got that's right, little bits of the red and orange on the tip, but they wipe them off now. On the back of my hand, that's what hands are for. They'll wash off. It's not toxic. Well, not that I'm likely to eat them. So we've got blue there, and I'm going to use this Prussian blue in between these here. Wouldn't it be fab to have trees with blue leaves? We get pinkish leaves, don't we, and reddish and all of those lovely autumn colours. But blues just don't seem to exist very much. So here I'm adding the electric blue over the Russian blue. I prefer to start dark. I don't know why I started with the light blue there. And I'm going to find a lighter blue. I've got a blue, just an ordinary blue there. That is a light blue. It needs a bit of a sharpen, so excuse the sharpening colour. Oh, that's juice sharp. Be fine. Sharp pencils for small spaces. Again, I'm going to use this just to smooth these in. This pencil works great as well as a resist for watercolouring. So you can actually draw on the paper with this, and it leaves a waxy residue which will repel watercolours. So, oh gosh, I'm making a right mess here. There's little bits coming off. I really need to use something else. So you'll have areas that have no watercolour in them. You can also do the same with coloured pencils. Just create a pattern or a drawing with these and then watercolour the open spaces, so use them instead of a pen. Never really done much of that, but perhaps one day I'll have a go and see. I just find it so hard to move away from black lines, to be honest. Tried using no lines in my work, and it just doesn't feel right. Now there I've used complementary colour. The complementary colour of blue is orange. I've used orange and yellow, so the yellows, and put the darker orange next to the lighter blue. I quite like that. That's fun. So let's have a look at doing some blue again. And this time, where was that sea green? There. So I have this sea green colour, which is lovely, but I need a colour to transition from one to the other, really. Sea green reads tealish. It's rather lovely. But I want a colour to make that transition. I know I've got a mint green here somewhere. There it is. There's also a light mint in here. But I think that mint will just make that colour rather lovely, you know, that transition quite nicely. Possibly. This is where the blending pencil comes in, because there's not a good transition between either colour. And you can get that by layering over a little at a time and going back and adding more. But I'm impatient. Perhaps that's why I struggle so much with coloured media. I don't know whether it's impatience or whether it's just that secretly I detest them. No, I don't detest them. I think I detest my abilities with them. And so in this little bit I am going to pop. I've got some royal, or the bright purple there, and I can see poking out there the royal purple, which will also need a little bit of a sharpen. And then I will just burnish this, blend them. This sort of like blends and burnishes, so you do get a lovely shine on the top, which really does make the colours very vibrant, I have to say. Okay, so let's do some last one I'm going to do with you. And who knows, I may spend some time today just playing with colour. I don't have an even number of sections here, which is a bit of an awkward thing. So I'm just going to create another section there because I can. And because it's my work and it doesn't matter too much if they're not exactly the same. So I've got the royal purple, and I could use bright purple straight away, but I'm not. I'm going to go to fuchsia. Like so. I'm going to leave a bit at the bottom because I'm going to add another colour in there. I'm trying to overlap them just that little bit to give the blender a bit of a help. Now, what colour would I like at the bottom? I think this one would be quite nice. Yeah, that's the one. Pink lavender. It's a pink. I can't see why it's called lavender. I'm just using this just to blend this out. I have to say I do prefer the vibrancy of the colours of these. I know you can get subtle colours with coloured pencils by very light applications of the colour, but there is just something really nice about them. Maybe the shine that this gives is aiding with that feeling of vibrancy. It's something you don't get with like alcohol markers. They dry very flat. There's not a lot of shininess with them unless you apply something that's shiny. The other thing you need to watch out if you're using these or coloured pencils is that you do get little bits that come away, and a brush or something similar would be most useful. And for this then, I think I'm going to I was going to add mint green and everything, but I think I might use some acid yellow in the middle here, because yellow and purple are complementary colours, and I think the acid yellow would work really well there. I'm then going to use a less acid yellow. I've got deep cadmium here. So I'm just adding that in and overlapping. I'm not fussing around as much as I was with the first one, am I? I think I've remembered how much work the blender can do for you. So if you haven't got one, I recommend getting one. And it says it does burnish the surface. It leaves this, well, the Caran d'Ache one does. With Derwent you can actually get a burnishing pencil. You buy the blending pencils and the burnishing pencils in a set usually. I'm not sure if you can get them open stock. And the burnisher is the one that puts the shiny surface down. So that's what burnishing means. It's sort of like polishing. And that shiny layer is what brings the vibrancy out. It allows light to be reflected off the colours. This is something that watercolour doesn't quite do when it's on paper. As soon as you put glass on the top of it, the colours shine out because you've got something that reflects light. There we are. So I'm starting to get here. I'll zoom out so you can see the messiness of my area around me as well. And you've got a bright light across here because the sun's just moving around. It's getting close to midday. So I've had a fun time here with you. A bit of a break from, you know, sort of like the usual kinds of pattern explorations and so on. And it's unusual for me to spend time colouring, but it's fun to do and perhaps give some hints, tips and encouragements about colour. And a page, it's a small page. It's only A5. The drawings aren't as big as they look, perhaps because it's A5. But the bigger they are, the more space you've got to work in as well. And just playing with colour. Yes, they're leaves, but work out what colour combinations you like of whatever colouring material you enjoy, or use them as practice for filling in with black and white or shadow or cross-hatching and so on. Whatever you do, I've chosen colour today because I'm open. My colour choices are not always the best. Rarely. I can play about in digital art easily. When it comes to traditional media, boy, can I make some messes. But here, each leaf is individual and I can decide what I like and I don't like. I actually really like these colours together. I'm not sure they work on a leaf, but I really do like the orange and yellows with the purples and fuchsia, you know, the magenta-y colours there. It looks almost like I've got something glowing underneath these. Have become fan blades. We've got a mechanical leaf there. That one in the middle, it's just a bit bright, a bit dark. Part of me thinks I should have done my old standby for things like this. It is oranges and yellows to make it look like a gold bead. I could have used, you know, greys or blue greys and white to make it look silvery, perhaps. This is fun because I do love complementary colours together. You know, these are complementary, almost. The pinks and orange are almost analogous, but the purple and the yellow are complementary, which is why they look so bright. This just reminds me of autumn and this reminds me of spring. So I hope you have a go. Have a go at drawing the leaves. I know that if you stop the video in the early part where I've shown you my sketchbook, you can look at the pages, perhaps a bit more if you wish. I'm happy for you to use the designs because there's nothing really unique here, I suppose. But have a go at altering things yourself. Have a go at changing what's inside. You might not like this. You might just want to do a smaller version of the oval, crossing over, or a different shape there. You know, or just a stem with a circle on. The choice is yours. Make your work your own. And it's sketchbook work. So it really doesn't matter if you have an oopsies moment. Okay? So look after yourselves. take care, and find time to be creative. And I'll see you again soon. Bye bye for now. Bye.